Yo, 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 it's your girl and boy CT. I'm Cindy Barnes.
And I'm Travis Barnes.
And we are the founders of the Overcomers Podcast.
Sponsored by Journey 333. That is a place of mind, body, spirit that helps you with fitness, coaching, and nutrition to look better, live better, and feel better. We produce these episodes every week for your enjoyment to help people to overcome adversity and live their dreams.
Welcome, Overcomer Nation.
Yeah, we are excited today. In fact, I couldn't be more excited. It's always super important and super special to me when I get to bring on a special colleague, somebody that is like family to me, that we work together in the same company. So this man, he is an author. He is a presenter. He is a fitness enthusiast. I can't wait for you to hear about some of his life stories and then some of his overcoming stories as well. He's also a Journey franchisee. Logan Peters, welcome to the show.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Yeah, I feel like it's a meeting with mom and dad right now, you know.
Sure is.
Yeah, that's what I love about this business. You know, it's just, we're close and we got good community. So I'm excited to be here.
That's right. You have been like a son to us, and we do love you like that. So
good and bad sometimes, right? You know.
Well, you know, you can't have kids with only the good. So, hey, let's talk about it. Logan, let's introduce you to the world. Let's talk a little bit about who Logan Peters is. So, Logan, here you are owning a fitness business, and you know you've done a lot for so many in your time as a coach and in your time owning the fitness business. But when did your passion for fitness first begin? You know, when did it first begin? Excuse me.
You know, that's a good question because it kind of began as a surprise to me. You know, in my wildest dreams as a teenager growing up, did I think I would be in the fitness industry? Just because growing up, I was always overweight and, you know, tend to shy away from fitness activities because you always felt a little guilty, you know, feeling like you can't keep up. But, you know, really started thanks to Jeremy. You know, I know you guys had a podcast with him a little while ago and he talked about it. But yeah, no, thanks. What's that?
I was just adding for the listeners, Jeremy Purifoy, owner of Journey Corning. In fact, he said how exciting it was to be with you on the journey, you know, that you guys got to do a weight loss journey together and then this. So go ahead. I just wanted the listeners to know who you were referencing. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. And that's how it all started. Really, I've always had that burning, you know, that deep burning desire to be someone who can help somebody and trying to find that way in the world. And what I wanted to do, was it through medicine? Was it through counseling? You know, never did I even think it would be through fitness, you know. So as I transitioned out of school, I got a job working with Jeremy with troubled youth, and it was fun, but it wasn't that fun. You know, I quickly found out I wanted to be somewhere where people want to be. Mm-hmm. Kids don't want to be in programs after school because they're bad kids or they've made bad choices. I should say it's not that necessarily they're bad kids. They just made poor choices. You know, the kids didn't want to be there. But meeting Jeremy there, you know, we kind of both started a weight loss journey together. And he actually was going to another gym that was caught on fire. And then he came down because of, you know, Kristen's mom to your guys' facility. And he's like, you got to come check this out. And I was like, let's go. You know, I was feeling good after my journey and I fell in love with it because the people wanted to be there. And I knew what it was like to struggle with my own fitness and weight, and I knew what it was like to be in their shoes, and it just, the light bulb went off and I was like, this is where I gotta be. And, you know, it's funny too, if you think about it, when I came over to work out with you, I remember coming in, talking with Travis, he was all excited. And then like that same week, I got an offer from the county to go work at Child Protective Services. And it's funny how we make choices, right? Because sometimes we are guilted into our choices. Because in the back of my mind, I'm like, well, I did go to school for this. You know, I did go to school for like the social work and the psychology. So I was like, maybe I should put that to work, right? You're feeling guilty because you spent a lot of money on something that you really didn't love, but the job comes along. So jumping into that, I learned real quick, nobody wanted to be at CPS. Not even the workers want to be at CPS. You know?
Right.
So it was a
that, isn't there? I mean, you know, like I mean, there's a great book called The Death of Ivan Ilich. It's a Leo Tolstoy story, and it just, you kind of know how it's going to end because it says the death of Ivan Ilich, but he felt pressured into his career. And at the end, he's laying on his deathbed and he says, what if my whole life has been wrong? So having the courage to, even when you feel pressured into a career and that you've invested money in the career, to not die with your music still in you, right? To not die with a purpose still in you that's different than maybe what you went to school for. So that's a cool thing that you just shared, and I didn't want us to gloss over it.
Yeah, it was a tough battle. It's a inward battle in that point. You feel guilty, you feel like you're disappointing people because you're making the switch, but really when it came down to it, and you guys know me well, I tend to do whatever I want,
Yeah.
Choices. I kind of just, I don't like to hide behind things and not take the risk because of where other people want me to be. I want to be where I want to be. And, I've been thankful to have that mindset, but it was still a tough choice. And I'm thankful every day that I get to wake up and come to Journey now and help support my community here in Ithaca.
Yeah. So, you have this heart for helping people, and it's interesting. I'd like to ask you some questions because I have some thoughts on it, but I want to know the answers from you. You are an athlete. You mentioned that, you couldn't keep up, or that you're, overweight a lot in your youth, but I mean, you're a great hockey player. You're a great golfer. I'm sure you're great at other things that I haven't had a chance to witness, but what was that? I mean, where did that begin? Did you do those sports in school and then maybe you didn't think as much of yourself because you also were overweight, or where did that begin for you?
It began at a young age. I played baseball, t-ball growing up, football. I played one season of football. I always wanted to be the quarterback, but the coach's son got to be the quarterback. And I was like, this isn't for me. I don't want to be, I was a big boy too. So put me on the line. I was like, this isn't fun to me. I want to throw the ball. I don't want to just push people around. So I did one year of that. And then I kind of got out of sports just because I wanted to play hockey, but it didn't make sense with my family. Travel team back then was tough. It was expensive. My dad was an over-the-road trucker. My mom was the vice president of a bank. So, when she wasn't home or when she was at work, she'd come home and work more. There really wasn't a lot of time to run me around because my dad would be gone, 3-4 days a week and come home for a couple and then be gone 3-4 days a week. So it just didn't make sense. And then finally, when I got to high school, I started playing, sports. I got into golf. I just started playing with friends and I was like, man, this is fun. And I think I spent my ninth grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade, every summer I'd be at the golf course every day, hitting golf balls, and finally tried out for the golf team my senior year, and I was overweight. I wasn't really sure how it was going to go. We had a decent golf team. We had a professional golf team or professional golf player's son on the golf team. So there was already some high standards there. So I tried out, made the top 6, and my coach came up to me the day after tryouts. He's like, man, where were you? I wish I knew you when you were in 8th grade, so it's funny the things we shy away from when we're not feeling good about ourselves. Right.
Yeah. And that's my point, because you are a talented athlete. I mean, I've watched you even do a simple not a simple exercise, but a very challenging exercise in the gym, like a pistol squat and doing it better than other people. Yet at the same time, I think that you were born with this heart for helping people, and clearly your purpose, your part of your dharma that you were born with is to help people through fitness. However, the way that we feel about ourselves, whether or not we should go out for the golf team, or maybe we should be a counselor instead, or maybe we should, go be a nurse or something in the medical field. We go these directions sometimes, not necessarily because that is our passion, that is our purpose or our dharma, but because of maybe we're thinking, maybe I don't fit the part, maybe I'm too overweight for this particular thing. And I think that's important for any listener that feels limited in their life, saying, oh, do I fit the part? I'd really love to help people through fitness, but do I fit the part? I mean, we all have to take action to take care of ourselves, but you've overcome a lot with that mindset, haven't you?
Yeah, it does. It impacts a lot. And, even through high school, I used to get picked on a lot starting in through middle school, high school, but I learned quickly, like if you laugh at yourself, it really takes the power out of the bully, right? If you're able to make fun of yourself, you overcome a lot in that inward battle. And I mean, I didn't even go to my prom because I was so embarrassed of just, how overweight I was. And I would just make up an excuse like, that's stupid. Who wants to go to that thing? But, it's crazy when you reflect to think about the choices you made just based on how you feel in that moment. Right. And I feel like for some people, even today, some people are afraid to even go get help or go to the gym just because they're so embarrassed. I gotta be fit to go to that gym. Well, no, you don't. How do you get fit? You got to go to the gym to get fit. So, working through that struggle, it was a challenge for sure, but just changing your mindset and focusing on that positive, what else would I miss if I decided to stay that way? What else would I have not done? I could have been in a miserable career, living a mediocre life of unfulfillment. And I don't know. I'm thankful every day I had that mindset to make the change. It's hard to explain. Yeah.
Well, let me ask you though, where was the moment that, because 100-pound journey is an amazing journey.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough for people to lose 10 or 20 or 30 pounds. I mean, you lost over 100 pounds. And, I just want to know, there were different moments in your life that I'm sure may have even been cumulative, right? I didn't go to my prom because of, feeling overweight, or I didn't try out for this golf team sooner because I felt overweight, or, whatever. I was looking at different careers other than what was really I was passionate about because I felt overweight. Where was the moment where you said, you know what? I'm gonna lock in and I'm gonna go for 100 pounds?
Yeah, well, it was the same year I started working at Journey, believe it or not. It's crazy how quick of a turnaround. Gosh, what year was that? Was it 2014? It would have been 2014. Coming out of Christmas, actually, it started the July before. It was kind of a turning point for me. I lost like 20 pounds in that July because I went to a theme park and I went to get on a roller coaster, and I'm sitting there and it was a busy day. There's a popular roller coaster. I mean, there was probably 400 people in line. Here I am sitting in this roller coaster, and the guy comes down to click the seat in and it doesn't click. And he's sitting there trying. He had his buddy come on, and here I am, this overweight guy sitting in a cart, and they look at me and say, hey, we can't let you go on this ride. The safety belt won't click in. So we're gonna have to ask you to get off. And that was a moment like, holy cow, I've gotten so out of control, or haven't really paid attention. Maybe it was the maturity level where I was at. I think I was 22 or so, whatever. I don't know, what was I, 24 when I started, 25 when I started, somewhere mid-20s. Maybe it was because I was mature enough now, or the brain developed enough to really realize, like, okay, I have control over this. And if I don't take control now, what other things that I enjoy will I not be able to do, long term? What health problems might come of this? Because when you're younger, when you're in your teens, you really don't think about that. You think you're invincible. But being where I was in my life, it was an eye opener. And then after that, I went home, I started working out. I lost like 20 pounds and kind of fell off during December. But come January of 2015, I was like, this is it. I got to take this in my hands. And I put my head down and I just started grinding. I followed a very basic nutrition plan, good, healthy vegetables, healthy proteins, healthy, complex carbs. And Jeremy would tell you, I'd come to work every day with Jeremy. I'd have a little tinfoil wrap up of all my food. I never used plastic. I would just have a tinfoil little wrap of everything I ate. And, it started to fall off, and that's motivating too, when you create that snowball effect. But the big turning point there.
Well, a couple of things on that. First of all, I guess I do want to ask you a question, because that's an embarrassing moment. That's a hugely impactful moment. And, you could have been devastated and just so embarrassed that maybe you just went home and, found some comfort foods and continued to put on weight. I mean, like there is a response that may be even more common that is that one. So I mean, I think it's important for our listeners to know what made you not respond that way. I mean, you said maturity and thinking, but how do we sometimes, how is it that you would tell people that you can let a painful situation be motivating to motivate you through 100 pounds of weight loss? I mean, how did you do that?
Yeah, I mean, there's two ways to respond to pain, right? You can blame and complain about everything else, right? You can blame somebody else for it being their fault, or you can complain about the people at the ride not knowing what they're doing and, have all these excuses. But at that moment, I just decided to take responsibility for who I was at that moment and where I had put myself, right? When we're younger as kids, our parents have a little more control over us, but I was out of the house. I was living on my own. I was the only one in control of me. And it was time. I had that aha moment, like, I got to take control of this. This is my responsibility. I can't blame anybody else but myself right now. And, if I want to get back on roller coasters, or if I want to feel good in my own skin, that's going to be my choice. That's going to be my choice. So
own it, right?
Own it. Yeah.
That's the answer. You got to own your circumstances and your situation and say, what can I do? And then, you said you started that journey in January 2015, which you did come to us in 2015, right? So how long was the journey, the 100-pound journey?
So I lost 20 from July till January, maybe 10 after the holidays. So to lose that other 90 pounds, I think it took me like 7 or 8 months, really. It happened quick. Once you get the ball rolling, I mean, we all know as fitness professionals, your body doesn't want to hold on to excess weight unless you have some underlying issues that might cause your body to do so. But for the most part, most people, if you just eat right and start exercising and cut out the junk, your body's going to react pretty well to that.
Yeah.
It happened, and I'll be honest, I had no cheat meals for like the first 3 months. I mean, I ate the same things almost every single day and I was focused. And I think I had like Taco Bell or something on my first like cheat meal. And I was like, that was good, but it really wasn't that good,
Nothing tastes as good as being fit feels, right? Something
right. That's a Cindy quote right there. Nothing tastes as good as skinny feels. Yes. Yeah.
That's a mantra that you've used over the years.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's an average of 3 pounds per week that you did, roughly 3 pounds per week you were losing to get that pounds. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
All right. So then, I mean, like you say, life changes fast. You go on a 100-pound weight loss journey. Next thing you know, your buddy Jeremy, who did like what, 70 pounds?
Yeah. 60, 70, something like that. 60, 70. Yeah.
Yeah. So you guys are on this weight loss plan together, and then Jeremy's working at Journey, and then you come over to Journey. And as you mentioned earlier in this episode, you tried out the being a CPS person first, counselor, right? What would be the title there at that job?
Caseworker. Yeah.
Caseworker. And then, we get started on this path, right? So let's talk about that, because now you're owning your own location and everything. And, what is it that allowed you to determine that this was the right path for you?
Well, you guys is one reason, but like I said before, just thinking back, it's funny because I remember working, we had to work a schedule out every other week because I was in Buffalo doing training for 6 weeks for CPS. And in the back of my head was like, man, they're going to be mad after a couple months and I just leave them. I'm doing all this training, but at the same time, it was totally worth it. But I think you guys having your support, Trav, like for me growing up, a lot of things always came easy. So I usually tend to shy away from challenges because I feel like I never really had somebody there to challenge me as I grew up. And that's one thing about Travis. If you guys are listening to this, you don't know, he's really good at pushing you outside of your comfort zone. And I needed a mentor like that. I needed someone to say, hey, like maybe you can do better, and it makes you think and it pushes you. So I fell in love with that aspect and just the community. Everybody wanted to be at Journey. The coaches wanted to be a journey. Everybody who worked there wanted to be a journey. Everybody who worked out there wanted to be a journey. And it becomes a family. And it's hard to leave somewhere where you feel like your family. And, in the back of my mind, helping people and owning a business was always one of my goals. I've always wanted to own a business. It's in my blood. I've had, multiple family members have owned businesses. So I always feel like it was my destiny to own a business. And, from day one, Travis is like, great, let's make it happen. I'm like, okay, he's like, that's great, because that's what we're looking for. So all the stars aligned, and I knew I made the right choice from day one to get out of a miserable job, and haven't looked back ever since. Haven't had one day of regret. And I am thankful every day I wake up. I have not had any days of regret.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think that for you, Logan, I mean, anyone that knows you personally, there's a few things that everybody would always say about your smile, how happy you always are, but also because of your 100 pounds and because of your struggle for so long in your life, you relate to people. They feel comfortable, they feel safe to talk to you. And for you, because you are such an upbeat person, and because of your personality and that you like happiness and being surrounded by happy things, I think that it was a perfect fit for you right from the beginning. You just said that everyone was happy to be there. They wanted to be part of Journey. They wanted to work there, like just the atmosphere itself. And you just fit perfectly in there. And you've always made any of the clients at any of the locations that you've ever worked at feel special, feel happy inside, motivated, and that they can relate to you because of what you've gone through. So when they're telling you they're struggling with their weight loss, or they did everything right and they don't see a result this week, like, you can relate, and they immediately feel this security with you, and they trust to be able to talk to you about stuff. So I think personally, it was a perfect fit for you, for who you are internally, right from the get.
Good point too, because I'm sure that even though the average was 3 pounds a week, during those 7 months, you didn't always see weight loss on the scale. Am I right?
Oh yeah, you're right. There was actually one point after I lost about 70 pounds, there's like 20 pounds left. And my long-term goal was like 190 or something like that. And I got to like 215 or something like that. And it was like 3 weeks, nothing was happening. And I was tracking my food. I think I was eating like 1,200 calories a day. So I tried a weird thing. I was like, okay, well, I'm working out a lot now. I'm running more. I'm working out. Like, maybe I should adjust my settings. And I was using my FitnessPal. Maybe I should just adjust my settings to see what happens. And they increased my calories by 500. And I was like, this feels weird. Like, I got to eat more. I'm going to eat more. And I started following that, and boom, I lost like 20 pounds in just a few weeks. Like, it was insane how fast it came on just by starting to eat more. And that was a weird concept for me. And it's still weird to talk to people today. Not weird. Like, I understand how that works.
Yeah.
Some people have a hard time grasping that. Sometimes people crash diet and they want to eat 800 calories and then they're not losing weight. I'm like, that's because you're not eating enough. And that was the case for me. And, it's just dialing in. But yeah, there was weeks where I'd lose 7 pounds and then 1 week I'd lose 0, or I'd go back up a pound. So it was always this scale. And then I hit that plateau, but turns out I had to eat more. I was like, I'm not going to argue that. Let's go. I love to eat.
Right.
I don't lie. I still love to eat,
But a great testimonial. We've had Dr. Silip speaking at Journey recently to our leaders, and he said the most common problem that he encounters is people need to eat more to lose weight, which is just it's tough for people to wrap their minds around.
Yeah.
So thanks for sharing that with the listeners. We've talked about this 100-pound weight loss journey. What accomplishments would you say that you're most proud of in your life?
Well, that, of course, and, even to touch on that, it's never over, weight, battling with weight. I mean, I'm up right now, from my lowest, and that's okay, because I know what needs to be done. COVID was a heck of a bump in the road for most of us. And, we're getting back on track now and feeling good. I know you guys are in the same boat. You're feeling like, it's time to turn things around. We get stuck in a bad spot and we're highly stressed, but
Yeah, I'm not at my lowest weight either. So-
I'm gonna call you guys. No, not yeah, and that's okay. And I think it makes us even more relatable to members when we can say, we're the coaches and we still have those up and downs. It's okay. It's part of life. So
I
that
told someone the other day that we call it journey fitness, not straight line fitness, because it is a journey. You will
Right.
go up and you will go down, and we just have to keep on staying accountable and stay in the community so we can get back on track. Yeah.
Right. Sometimes our coaches, we turn to our members for just as much as support as we want to be there for them too. They motivate us as much as we motivate them sometimes. That's definitely a great accomplishment. Writing in that book was a huge accomplishment. I think that's very cool. I forget about that sometimes. I'm like, you mentioned that I did that SCW webinar the other day. I was like, dang, I should have put, published author on there too, because they were making sure they had their credentials. And I was like, oh, I forgot about that one, and then obviously buying the business, that was a huge pivotal moment. And, I feel motivated more than ever now. And I'm super excited to see where that leads over the next few years. I feel like I'm on the first step of life right now. Weight loss was ground floor, and coming to Journey was, taking the step. And now I'm up to step one, and I want to see where those stairs lead. I can't wait to.
Love it.
Well, I appreciate you bringing that up, buying the business, because, there's a lot of people facing hard times, either through job loss or, different things that have affected a business. Or we were supposed to have you become a franchisee roughly 2 years earlier than what happened, right? Like these conversations began. And then, you've taken a courageous step, the pandemic is still going on, right? There's still restrictions. There's still, is this a vaccinated event? Do you have to wear a mask today? There's still cases that are being tracked, so let's just talk a little bit about that, if you will. Share your hopes, fears, and everything that's been leading up to you becoming a business, the owner of Journey Ithaca,
Yeah. Oh boy. Fierce. Like COVID was rough, right? I remember you and I and Cindy had conversations like, what do we do? What do we do? And talk about making you question choices when you're so stressed and you feel like it's hard to talk to people when they weren't in that position, right? Because no matter what we did, there was nothing that could have been done to prevent our business taking a hit. There was nothing. People were leaving. It's not like we were providing a terrible service and ripping people off and, calling them names and telling them to get out of here. And they were just leaving because they were in a bad experience. It was the same old journey. We were pushing our butts to the limit to get people to stay and, remain healthy in a time where health was the most important thing that they had, so that stress is unbelievable to, I feel like, bear, when you're doing everything you can, but it's working. And there's no control, right? We literally had no control over that situation. So it does bring you into a place, maybe a dark place where you're just super stressed out. And it put me in the hospital for a day. But I always kept thinking like, this is going to end. This is going to be over. We're going to get through this and, we're going to survive. And on the other end is going to be me being a business owner, is going to be us growing the franchise together and just still bringing health back to the community when they're going to need it most. I feel like this is one of the biggest opportunities as a fitness entrepreneur and franchisee that we're in, because people are going to be ready. Once the government is on board with life going back to normal, it's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be like opening the floodgates, because people have been inside. They've been, more isolated than they ever have. They've been eating. Most people, 90% of the people, are not where they want to be. So yeah.
Well, I share your sentiments, and I do think that there's a ton of opportunity to help people, and that it is more important than ever that we do. That being said, let's discuss. Like we're talking about earlier. Oh, I might have stayed a caseworker for CPS, but I took the leap, and I put more confidence in myself than I ever put before, and I followed a different passion, one that was more my purpose. And you know, when you're going to take over the ownership of a business and there's still a pandemic, there's got to be a fear of failure. You know, I think that's a real thing that you have to confront and tell yourself something about that. You know, so was there that fear for you, or?
You know, there was, and I'm just like, I talk about compartmentalizing something. I'm like, you know, the fear is not an option here. Like, you just got to get that. Like, anytime that thought pops into my mind, I'm like, no, we got this. Let's go. I try not to focus on that because it can consume you, right? Fear is a consuming thing. You know, you just gotta face it. You gotta look at it and say, you know, get out of here. Like, this isn't real. You know, the fear is always going to be there, or I guess it's not really fear. The chance that could happen is always going to be there. But if we bust our butts and, you know, work and not let it happen, not let that failure happen, or do the best we can despite closures or businesses being shut down, I think we can make it through. Because, you know, we saw a lot of fitness businesses close down, but they weren't doing anything. You know, I mean, we had virtual that same day that we had to shut down. We had a virtual. It wasn't the greatest. No, it got better as we went along, but we made it happen. And we came together as a family, as a team, to make it happen. So yeah, I try to block that fear out of the way, you know, I try to put the blinders on when it comes to that. I've had a lot of good support with my mom keeping the books. So, you know, we're not spending too much money, and, you know, we're good. We're doing good. So, yeah.
Awesome. That's awesome. Well, you know, I mean, I think it's a fun journey for people to hear about, no pun intended. I mean, just everything that you've overcome in your life to get to where you are, you know, presenting with us at conference and authoring a book and having your own journey franchise. And have you taken time to think about the future and, you know, what's ahead for either Journey Ithaca or what's ahead for Logan, and, you know, what you want to accomplish next?
Yeah, you know, I love, you know, being a part of the team, and I can't wait to see where the franchise goes. And I would love to own a couple more, you know, impact a few more communities. We have, you know, places like Syracuse around us, Liverpool, things like that would be great, especially because I can help, you know, my coach grow into an ownership role as well, because he has that passion, he has that drive. And, you know, down the road, I know we've talked about it, helping sell franchises, things like that. I mean, there's always so much opportunity ahead to continue to grow and, you know, impact more and more communities in a positive way. You know, there's a lot of gyms out there, but the community we build and the support we can show people is just, it's unmatched. I feel like it's just unmatched because, you know, we always hire people like us, people who want to change the world and want to impact their communities in such a positive way. So yeah, you know, that's where I see it in the next 5 years, you know.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right. Well, this is an important question for an overcomer show. What does Logan Peters think that it takes to be an overcomer? Because you have already demonstrated with your story today that you've overcome a lot. And so what do you think it means to be an overcomer?
That's a good question. That's a loaded question right there. No, you know, I think just a positive mindset, you know, always knowing that better is out there. As human beings, as you know, evolved as we are, fear is such a driver for us because it's a survival thing. And everything we need to survive is so easily accessed now that we really have to see fear as just, it's prehistoric. It's a prehistoric thing, right? We're no longer needing to be driven by fear. There are some situations where that comes into play, you know, like you see, you know, somebody drowning in the water, your fear takes over and you have that instinct to act and you want to save them. Like that's a good response with fear and adrenaline and that fight or flight. But really, it's just, we got to have that positive mindset. We got to overlook fear and face those fears and put ourselves outside of our comfort zone, you know. And if you need help with that, you know, give Travis an email or something. He'll help you get outside your comfort zone, you know.
Well, definitely. Actually, that's what I was going to ask you. You know, I always like to give people things that they can use. What's your number one strategy for staying positive? Because I do consider you to be a very positive person, you know. So how do you do it?
I've done gratitude journals and just being in the moment and being grateful. Sometimes you just got to stop and take a breath, if you're having, because there's mornings, getting up at 4:00, getting up at 3:30 in the morning is tough sometimes, but when you're feeling down or you're feeling like you're being a little negative, because we all know when we're having a bad day, there's no hiding it for ourselves, right? You just got to take a step back and just, I'm thankful I get to do this. I'm thankful I'm waking up. I'm thankful I have a home. I'm thankful, whatever that moment brings. I think just having gratitude is going to kick people off in the right direction of more positivity. Because if you're thankful for what you got, it changes the dynamic of your thinking. So gratitude, man, that's the power.
There it is.
So Logan, let me ask you this real quick, because I know you read a ton of books. I mean, you guys are always reading books together. And do you ever read books? I know you do a ton as far as work goes and things like that, but do you do self-help books? Is that any, or does it just come more natural for you to just try to stay in that positive mindset?
I think it comes more natural for me just because I made the change a long time ago. Like even in high school, like I was saying, if you laugh with the bullies, they become less of a threat to you. So they kind of ease off. So trying to stay positive in those situations, I think I've built a good mechanism there. But, I've read a lot of books and you get a lot of validation and confirmation of what you're doing. And it encourages you to keep doing it and to help the other people, be more positive and have more gratitude in their life. So, yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, Logan, thank you so much for being on the Overcomers podcast today. If people want to follow you or get more of you, what's the social media links or whatever that we can use?
Yeah. So Instagram is _Logan Peters. I think it's just Logan Peters on Facebook. Obviously, if you just follow Journey 333 Ithaca on all those social medias, you get a little dose of me too. So, and if not, reach out, message me through one of those and I'll get you connected. So.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for being on the show today. You're an awesome
thanks
guest.
for your time.
Thank you guys. It was a blast. I was looking forward to it.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to the Overcomers podcast sponsored by Journey 333. When I am not hosting the Overcomers podcast, I am working at one of our fitness franchises so that I can continue to help people overcome adversity on a daily basis. That's right. People come to the Journey 333 fitness franchises because they want a coach in their life. They want somebody to help them overcome the adversities of life, motivate them to higher levels of greatness, bring out their potential, help them lose weight, get off medications, fight depression, fight anxiety. That's what we do on a regular basis. If you feel like you want your life to be about helping more people to overcome their adversities, if you feel like you're an overcomer and you want to create more overcomers, then maybe owning a Journey 333 franchise would be for you. To find out more, go to www.journeyfitness333.com.